The lunch edition of MBC News, and you are with me, Evelis Chingambi. Coming up this afternoon, President Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika reaffirms commitment to rebuilding the country's economy and ensuring stability in key sectors. The civil service headcount exercise uncovers administrative irregularities, and China implements its zero tariff policy on African exports to the country. Thank you for joining us. Now the news in detail. President Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika has reaffirmed his commitment to rebuilding the country's economy and ensuring stability in key sectors, including fuel supply and forex. President Mutharika was speaking at Zabuka Palace in Blantyre during a meeting with the Malawi Broadcasting Corporation Embassy Director General Brian Banda. During the meeting, Professor Mutharika emphasized the need for result-driven leadership, stating that his administration remains focused on delivering its promises. Details in this report.
Speaking Friday during a meeting with Malawi Broadcasting Corporation Director General Brian Banda at Zabuka Palace in Blantyre, President Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika emphasized the need for result-driven leadership, stating that his administration remains focused on delivering on its promises. Mutharika noted that government efforts are currently directed at stabilizing the economy and improving the livelihoods of Malawians.
We're working on the forex thing to tell people not to panic whenever there is a hiatus somewhere in the delivery of oil or fuel. We have the situation in the Middle East, which is affecting every country in the world because of what's happening there. So we are no exception, but we are doing our best. There is fuel now here, and there will be fuel for the foreseeable future, and we are building the economy, and there will be forex here, and the economy will continue to grow.
He also commended MBC's new leadership for its commitment to performance, urging the Director General Brian Banda to maintain these high standards. Additionally, the President addressed rumors regarding his health, asserting that he is in good spirits and advising Malawians to ignore rumor mongers spreading false claims that he is receiving medical treatment at Donald Gordon Hospital in South Africa.
I feel sorry for these people. They've been saying this since 2016, you remember? One time I died in America, you remember? I must be a cat with 9 lives, so no, it's silly. Actually, I'm in good health. So many people have wished me dead, many of them in this country. I remember TB Joshua. I thought I was going to be dead by December 2016. I'm still here. I think he's 6 feet under the ground himself. So never wish somebody dead. You never know who's going to die first. You never know who's going to die first. But I'm fine, yeah.
Do they bother you? Those?
No, not at all. I think that's silly.
Yeah.
I think that's silly. It's stupidity. Yeah. We should think, they never will. I think they're laughable, actually. Yeah. I don't know what the motive is. We all are going to die one day anyway. It's a matter of when and how. Everyone's going to die.
Chisomo Break, MBC News, Blantyre.
President Mutharika and First Lady Professor Gertrude Mutharika joined the rest of the world in celebrating International Workers' Day, also known as Labor Day. In a statement, the President says he honors the extraordinary resilience and dedication of every worker across the nation, from hard-working farmers to diligent civil servants, as their effort is the engine of Malawi's progress. The President further explains that his administration is committed to protecting workers' rights, fostering fair workplaces and investing in skills development for the youth by aligning education with modern demands, supporting local industries, and encouraging entrepreneurship. Malawi is building a workforce ready to lead its industrialization drive. President Mutharika has called on employers to lead with fairness and empathy, and for workers to continue serving with integrity and excellence. A call has gone out to employers to create a more conducive environment for employees in order to maximize productivity and promote national development. Minister of Labour, Innovation and Skills Development, George Gona, made the call in Lilongwe at Masinta Ground during activities marking Labour Day. The minister represented President Arthur Peter Mutharika at the event, and Charles Wahara reports.
Chigona pointed out that it is a concern that some private companies still do not abide by labour laws, adding that government will ensure that those involved are brought to book. The minister further said government will continue working hand in hand with the Malawi Congress of Trade Unions and other organizations representing workers to ensure progress in protecting workers' rights and safety.
As a government, we are taking very strict measures to make sure that employers are treating employees very well. As you are aware, we have done some inspection that really shows that other companies are not obliged to the law. So if they don't oblige to the law, the law will take its course.
Meanwhile, Kelvin Ijadrunda, president of the Malawi Congress of Trade Unions, MCTU, welcomed government's position, saying it is key to addressing workers' concerns.
We really appreciate that step, because when we look at the world of work at home, there are several employers in Malawi who don't follow the law. So when it comes from the Ministry of Labour, as a mother ministry, we think these employers are going to abide by that.
This year's Labour Day is being commemorated under the theme Achieving Decent Work and Inclusive Growth through Promoting Workers' Rights and Skills Development. The event was held at Masinta Ground in Lilongwe. Charles Wahara, MBC News, Lilongwe.
Government has unveiled plans to rehabilitate Zabuka Harbour in Salima, positioning it as a key transport hub integrating rail, road and marine systems. Minister of Transport and Public Works, Japi Muhango, said this during a tour of the facility, including the National Oil Company depot at the port. Doreen Sonani has a report.
Speaking after touring the facility, which has deteriorated over the past years, Muhango described his visit as a clear demonstration of President Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika's administration's commitment to restoring operations at the once thriving harbour. He said a key priority is dredging the port to address its natural shallow conditions.
You discover that once that is done, the cost of doing business will come down significantly. Similarly, fuel coming from Beira would be coming through Sanje or the southern part of the country, also by rail. That's what we want to do, and we want to do this as quickly as possible. This is going to protect, this is going to save our roads from the kind of damage that the roads are suffering as we speak today.
The minister adds that the rehabilitation of Zabuka Harbour forms part of the broader strategy under the National Transport Master Plan, which seeks to shift cargo movement from roads to more cost-effective rail and marine transport systems. Muhango said government is accelerating railway rehabilitation works, including the line from Mwami through Lilongwe to connect with the Nakala corridor. He added that plans are also underway to develop a new rail link from Mbeya in Tanzania to Songwe with support from private investors. Member of Parliament for the area, Salima South constituency, Madalitso Mazombwe, has welcomed the gesture.
I know the coming in of the minister, he has changed a lot here by his coming, because a lot of people have been waiting about this development, and we know that if this development be implemented, for sure this area is going to be changed.
Once revitalized, Zabuka Port is expected to reclaim its strategic role in Malawi's transport network, boosting trade connectivity while reviving economic activities around Lake Malawi. Doreen Sonani, MBC, Salima.
Minister of Local Government Ben Perry has launched the Presidential Executive Order No. 2 on sanitation and hygiene in Zomba City with a call for collective responsibility to make the city clean. The order is aimed at promoting hygiene and sanitation across the country. Chisomo Break has more.
The launch attracted several stakeholders in the city, marking a turning point for Zomba City Council's drive to improving sanitation and hygiene at a time when cholera cases are surging.
We have taken it upon ourselves to make sure that the executive order is adhered to the fullest. This will help that our communities will be clean. As a result, we will reduce prevalence of diseases like cholera, malaria, and others, as aware that it is less costly to prevent than to cure. So we thank the President that he had to wake us up, and we will no longer sleep, but make sure that our councils adhere to the executive order.
Minister Piri could not hide his disappointment with some stakeholders, including Malawians of Indian origin, who did not participate in the initiative despite being invited.
The executive order did not spare anyone. It is an executive order for us Malawians. And oftentimes when you listen to them, they say we are Malawians, we were born in Malawi, we've been here for so long. But look, we called on them, and I can assure you and confirm that the city invited every resident of Zomba. To some extent, they were even visited in their shops, but they decided to stay away. That is uncalled for.
Zomba City Mayor Councillor Christopher Jana stressed that the launch of the executive order was not ceremonial, but a testament to the council's resolve to turn Zomba a cleanest city in the country.
I will engage the partners, even the people from Zomba City Council, and raise this. That guys, this is the time now to make our city clean and make it smart. So I'll take advantage. I'll take my initiative, going to them, meeting them frequently, and remind them about the program.
The ceremony was characterized by different activities aimed at raising awareness to the people about keeping their spaces clean. It started with a cleanup exercise around the bus depot, Namiwawa Road, Pep Stores, Ring Road, and Gincana Ground within the city. Chisomo Break, MBC News, Zomba.
The Department of Human Resource Management and Development has uncovered a number of administrative irregularities, including cases of overpayment and underpayment in the first and second phases of the civil service headcount exercise. The exercise started in December last year and is still in progress. Speaking to MBC, spokesperson for the department, Ken Ndonga, says they have since addressed the administrative issues, while cases involving suspected criminal conduct will be handled by relevant authorities.
We have definitely identified some irregularities. For example, some people could be paid a salary that is not in line with their grade. You know, every grade has got a salary attached to that one. Some had been receiving more than what they were supposed to be getting. Others had been receiving less than what they had they were supposed to be getting. So those are some of the irregularities. But we cannot pointedly say that we have identified the ghost workers, because currently we are assessing all the data that we have collected. So the final results will be gotten from that assessment. There are some irregularities which we cannot wait until we have finalized. For example, if somebody was getting a salary which was not in tandem with his or her grade, that we cannot wait until the finalization. Those issues are being sorted out there and then. So if somebody was being underpaid, overpaid, was even receiving a salary without proper documentation, we have halted that so that we can find out more what is there. So that's the first approach that we are handling. The second one would be that a situation where somebody we suspect that apart from being a normal anomaly, there is some criminal element in it. Those are the issues now that will be submitted further to relevant authorities for investigations.
This is MBC News and you are with me, Evelis Jungambi. A reminder of our top stories. President Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika reaffirms commitment to rebuilding the country's economy and ensuring stability in key sectors. The civil service headcount exercise uncovers administrative irregularities. And China implements its zero tariff policy on African exports to the country. Welcome back. The Ministry of Gender says it targets to have at least 100 women occupying parliamentary seats in 2030 elections. Minister responsible, Mary Nabicha, said this in Malongwe during an interface organized by Oxfam to reflect on the 2025 general elections. The minister said though the past elections produced 50 women parliamentarians, which represents 23%, the figure is not satisfactory, hence they will fight tirelessly to have more women representatives in parliament.
The main issue here is on how we can promote our women, how we can increase a number of women in decision-making positions, starting from parliament. Out of 229 members of parliament, and this time we have 50, it's not a good number. So we are working towards 50-50 if it's possible. If not, at least 60-40. If we make 60-40, that would be something to celebrate. And at the same time, we are also reflecting on the challenges that women face, particularly cultural norms, financial resources, political strategies. So these are the areas that we are working on it, and I'm sure that we'll map the way forward on how we can support our women in Malawi. And by 2030, I would like to assure you and all Malawians that we'll definitely have at least 100 women in parliament.
Gender Justice Coordinator at Oxfam, Lindy Wichere, said the gathering provides an opportunity to assess the challenges which women faced in the past elections and map the way forward. Mayor for Mangochi Municipality, Iman Jisuse, has called for collaboration among key stakeholders, including ward councillors, for smooth implementation of development projects. He made the call in Mangochi during an ordinary full council meeting organized to discuss projects implementations plan under the reformed Constituency Development Fund, CDF, and rehabilitation program planning to be supported by Roads Fund Administration. We have a report.
Speaking during the ordinary council meeting, Mayor for Mangochi Municipality, Imani Chisuse, said councillors have a crucial role to play in facilitating development projects at community level. According to the mayor, ward councillors advocate for communities' interests, engage in decision-making processes, and collaborate with various stakeholders to deliver projects that benefit communities, hence the need for collaboration. He told the council that Mangochi Municipality is expected to implement a number of projects, including construction of a modern bus depot and offices worth about 897 million kwacha, construction of Chikole primary school blocks and toilets worth about 400 million kwacha, and youth economic empowerment program pegged at 200 million kwacha.
Some councillors do not support projects when those projects are not coming from their areas. So what we are doing is to encourage collaboration. They should work together as a team to develop Mangochi.
On his part, Chief Executive Officer for Mangochi Municipal Council, Ernest Kadzokoya, emphasized on the need to exercise transparency and accountability in management of financial resources.
We are really blessed that this year we'll be accessing the 5 billion from Constituency Development Fund and the 5 billion from Road Fund Administration. Basically, our role is just to facilitate the implementation of these projects. However, the process of prioritizing the projects, identification, prioritizing, and implementation will be managed by the communities themselves, especially on the CDF element. We have so many structures that have an eye on these CDF projects. We have the Constitutional Development Committee, we have the MP, we have the councillors, and all the committee members that are part and parcel of ensuring that everything is done openly, and we are also accountable in terms of how we procure the contractors and how we implement all these projects.
It is expected that some of the projects will help transform the face of Mangochi Municipality Council once completed.
Rotarians under District 9210, which covers Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Zambia and Malawi, have been challenged to use their positions of influence and connections to mobilize resources for the underprivileged in their societies. The call has been made by Hitesh Anatiket, founder and director of First Capital Bank, during the opening of Rotary District 9210 conference dubbed Umodzi Discon 2026 in Salima. During Sonani reports.
Rotarians under District 9210 have gathered in Salima for their annual conference, which runs up to Sunday, 3 May. Members of Taiwan Rotary and other international dignitaries have joined their counterparts in the Umodzi District Conference. The gathering will, among others, discuss how best to handle issues of conflicts in the region and promote peace, provision of water and sanitation facilities, and polio eradication. Delivering a keynote address at the opening of the conference, Hitesh Anadikat, founder and director of First Capital Bank, encouraged the Rotarians to continue implementing their projects with enhanced accountability for better outcomes.
Rotarians are very connected people, typically, right? They tend to be the better off and more connected and educated in our society. And they should work together to make sure that projects that are being done out there, whether it's donor projects, government projects, private sector projects, get better outcomes and have some monitoring and accountability.
For his part, District Governor for Rotary District 9210, Masho Chirenga, called upon fellow Rotarians to unite in supporting initiatives aimed at eradicating polio and ensuring that every child is vaccinated against the disease.
In supporting the campaign, one of the things that you should know is that when you see a polio vaccine, wherever you see it in the world, you are seeing Rotary at work. Rotarians donate their money to buy vaccines. For every dollar that they donate, Bill Gates matches it. So Rotarians donate dollars and they do polio walks to raise money for the eradication of polio. Right now, Rotary is working with government to make sure that all hospitals have got vaccines for polio eradication in Malawi and in Zambia.
Presenting the message from Francisco Arezzo, Rotary International President, his representative Ahmed Saad from Egypt Rotary urged the Rotarians to continue uniting within their clubs and collaborate with other districts while bringing fresh energy to their vision. The conference is being held under the theme Uniting for Good, Building a Better Humanity through Rotarian Solidarity. Doreen Sonani, MBC News, Salima.
In business, commuters and taxi operators in Blantyre City have touted an innovation called Inga that is simplifying how the two do their businesses. Penjani Galua, a taxi operator from Chilomoni Township and Oth Jimpambano, the app's user, told MBC that Inga applications are safe and convenient for both parties.
The driver and user, you're all registered. Chiefly with the driver, we've got his identity certificate, we've got the car insurance, we've got the CUF, and we're not just taking any car, we're taking reasonable cars. And in fact, we're not only looking at taxis. Any one of you here who's got a car, if you've got a BMW, you've got a Range Rover, you can register it. We've got the Inga apps that it will show you the luxurious, normal, there's several categories of vehicles. So if you've got vehicles, you can register them. And when you knock off, who knows, you can pick somebody from the airport and make some extra money. That's the plan.
I've used a couple of taxis before, so the difference with this app is you get to know who's gonna come pick you up. So it's more secure, it's safe than the other services.
In international news, China has implemented a zero-tariff policy on imports from all African countries that have diplomatic relations with Beijing. The move is expected to boost exports to China as the policy reduces barriers and enhances competitiveness for African products. Telson Makombo with the report.
Amid its growing uncertainty in the growing economy, China has chosen to ensure win-win cooperation through the Zero Tariff Initiative. For experts, the zero tariffs will not only expand exports, but also drive local industrial upgrade, while equally positioning Africa as a production base for exports to China. Kenyan economist Bidangendemo believe this is a great opportunity for African countries who rely on agricultural products such as avocado, sesame, cashew nuts, cocoa, cassava products, among others.
If we want to maximally utilize this policy and it touches the people on the ground, because they have the technology, they have the machinery, and they want to work with us to process agricultural products for the market in China, we should now, in every county that has avocado, for example, have an incubator where they come process that into oil, package it, and ship it to China.
In Nigeria, where abundant agricultural resources and dynamic business community flourishes, the policy will not only aid government diversification, but also reduce reliance on single resource export.
A lot of time we lost opportunities due to high cost of exportation and processing systems. But with the inception or incoming of the zero tariff from the China, I think it's a very good advantage for us to utilize it, whereas we need government support in order to meet up the requirement for exports.
According to Somali National News Agency, the Chinese government has historically supported Somalia infrastructure and development, and this initiative will generate immense economic momentum. Somalia, which possesses the longest coastlines on mainland Africa, is ramping up marine export sector infrastructure to supply the world's largest consumer market. Zambia, on the other hand, is geared to embrace the opportunity with more exports.
What you find is that generally to position Africa to be a supplier of good quality products, which will find its way in China. And China is a very big market. And if you supply to China, it means you enhance the value of trade or the volume of your exports. And that in itself is monumental in the sense that apart from just the value of the export, you get more and more people getting higher incomes and also being able to upgrade their production facilities. So it's really going to benefit Africa in a way that Africa can also begin to participate.
And in Malawi, the initiative is expected to conserve scarce foreign exchange as export volumes rise. For thin margin products like tea, coffee, nuts makes Malawi cheaper against Asian competitors. With this expansion of China's zero tariff treatment to all African nations, the barrier to the world's largest consumer market has been eliminated. Telson Magombo, MBC News.
And that's it from our newsroom this afternoon. A recap of our top stories before we leave. President Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika reaffirms commitment to rebuilding the country's economy and ensuring stability in key sectors. The civil service headcount exercise uncovers administrative irregularities. And China implements its zero tariff policy on African exports to the country. For more updates, visit MBC Digital on Facebook, X, and Instagram. You've been with me, Evelis Jungambe. Thanks for watching and good afternoon.